Welcome to PacWest Magazine, the radio show. The show about our exciting Pacific West Conference. The PacWest is made up of NCAA Division II universities from Arizona and Utah to California and Hawaii. It's the most beautiful and diverse athletic conference in the entire NCAA. This is Commissioner Bob Hogue, inviting you to join our outstanding coaches, student athletes, and administrators as we talk about the great excitement in the PacWest. Now here's Assistant Commissioner Tom Camillo, live from our studios in Santan, Arizona.
Welcome to PacWest Radio. Tom Camillo, Joe Carreiro, live in the Santan Valley. It is Thursday. It is lunchtime here in the Valley. It is just past breakfast in Hawaii, and we're going to go to Hawaii in a little bit to talk with Jorge Medina, the head coach of Hawaii Pacific University men's and women's cross-country teams, and we're going to take a look at the PacWest Women's and Men's Cross-Country Championships and the NCAA Division II West Regionals, which are going to be taking place this Saturday and next Saturday in Hawaii, and HPU is hosting both of the events, and it's an outstanding. This is cross-country week in the PacWest. It's
nice.
We're starting today. We're going to have the race this weekend. We're going to have the announcement of the runners of the week for the season during next week, and then
maybe we should take a run down to lunch. Since it's cross country week.
I'm not sure we'd make it back in time. Our times would be a little bit off, but it's this is championship season, and then the next 2 weeks, November 1st. And November 8th will be the women's and then the men's basketball media days, and that's always a big hit as basketball season's coming close, and we will talk about basketball over the next 2 weeks. But today it's cross country, and we'll have Jorge on in a few minutes. But one of the things that we'll unveil here in a few minutes is the predicted order of finish for the PacWest Men's and Women's Cross Country Championships, and the head coaches of the PacWest teams vote. They rank the teams 1 through 14 for the women, 1 through 13 for the men. Hawaii Hilo doesn't have men's cross country, and we get a predicted order of finish leading into the conference championship on Saturday. And I have the votes here, Joe, and it's really kind of interesting because there are 14 votes. Two schools clearly got the most first-place votes, but in the men, a seventh-place team that's predicted to finish seventh actually got a first-place vote, and a fifth-place team in the women also got a first-place vote. So what that tells me, and when you look at the point totals, Joe, that this is going to be a wide-open race.
Nice.
And it's going to be exciting. So, as they like to say, without further ado, let's unveil the predicted order of finish.
And here we go.
For men's cross-country. And I quickly explain, each coach ranked the teams in the PacWest for the men 1 through 13. They received a point total. The team ranked first got 13 points, second got 12 points, and on down. So there is a point total, and then a number of first-place votes. The team predicted to claim the PacWest championship this year, California Baptist University in men's cross country, 168 points, 12 of the possible 13 first-place votes. A pretty dominating statement by the coaches who they expected to win. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. That's why you run the race. Second, Azusa Pacific with 141 points. Picked to finish second. Grand Canyon third with a 136. BYU Hawaii fourth with a 133. Hawaii Pacific University, the host, picked to finish fifth for the men with a 110. Point Loma Nazarene University with 91 points, picked to finish sixth. Picked to finish seventh, Academy of Art University, and they got one first-place vote, 87 points. Dixie State, eighth with an 84. Fresno Pacific, ninth with a 79. Holy Names, 10th with a 50. Chaminade, 11th with a 43. I love the clapping. That's a great touch. It's awesome.
Thanks.
Number 12, Notre Dame de Namur with 39 points, and 13th Dominican with 22 points. So I'll just run through them again. California Baptist, Azusa Pacific, Grand Canyon, BYU Hawaii, HPU, PLNU, that's 1 through 6. 7th is Art, Academy of Art. 8th is Dixie State. 9th is Fresno Pacific. 10th is Holy Names. 11th is Chaminade. 12th is NDNU. 13th is Dominican. And now we'll turn our attention to the women's. And there's 14 schools competing with women's teams. Again, Hawaii Hilo has women's program. They do not have a men's cross-country program. The team picked to win this year's PacWest Women's Cross Country Championship, and it's by a close margin, is Azusa Pacific University. 186 points, 10 first-place votes. But it's not by much. Now, Azusa Pacific is one of the new schools in the conference, and they're picked to come in and win right away. The number 2 team, California Baptist University. They had 181 points with 3 first-place votes. Third place, Hawaii Pacific University with a 146. They're the host school. Fourth place, Grand Canyon University with a 145, 1 point below HPU. In fifth place, just a few points behind, Point Loma, or PLNU, with a 139. They have 1 first-place vote, so they picked up the other first-place vote. In sixth, Dixie State College of Utah with a 128. And seventh, BYU Hawaii with a 121. Academy of Art is 8th with a 118. Fresno Pacific is 9th with an 85. I feel like we're getting Academy Awards here. 10th is Chaminade with a 56. It's one of the highest predicted orders of finish for Chaminade ever, so they've had a nice season. Holy Names University picked to finish 11th with a 53. Hawaii Hilo picked to finish 12th with 47. Dominican University of California picked to finish 13th with a 42. And Notre Dame de Namur picked to finish 14th with a 23. So that is the women's cross-country predicted order of finish by the coaches. We'll run them down real quick again. Azusa Pacific is number 1 with 10 first-place votes. California Baptist 2 with 3 first-place votes. HBU is 3rd. Grand Canyon 4th. Point Loma 5th. Dixie State 6th. BYU Hawaii 7th. Academy of Art 8th. Fresno Pacific 9th. Chaminade 10th. Holy Names 11th. Hawaii Hilo 12th. Dominican 13th. And NDNU 14th. And that's the Women's Cross Country Championship predicted order of finish. Joining us here is Jorge Medina from Hawaii Pacific University. HPU will be hosting the championships this Saturday. It's beginning at 8 a.m. on Oahu, and we're going to talk to Jorge about the course and then about the regionals. And now Jorge Medina is joining us. Jorge, welcome to PacWest Radio.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate that.
So Jorge Medina, the head coach of Hawaii Pacific University, first-year head coach with the Sea Warriors. And Jorge, not only did you get thrown into coaching as a head coach for the first time at HPU, but they handed you the PacWest Championships and the NCAA Regional. That had to be pretty daunting when you first came in and realized that was what was going to be happening.
Oh, yes. It's been a roller coaster, but a very, very positive roller coaster ride. Luckily, I've had some great support from our athletic staff and just support from a bunch of previous coaches that I've worked with in the past, and it's all coming together. And if it wasn't for them, I don't know that this PacWest and regional races would be happening as smoothly as it's going right now. But it's been a great opportunity, and it could be stressful at times, but I've been thinking that it's good stress because I'm learning a lot, and it's definitely a great experience for me to host these races.
Let's talk a little bit about the races themselves. The races are going to take place this Saturday for the PacWest Championship, and I believe, is it the women go first or this year?
No, it is actually a race at 8 in the morning.
Okay.
And an 8,000-meter race. And then an hour later, the women's 5,000-meter race starts at 9 a.m. over at Kahuku Golf Course. Very, very beautiful course. You feel that it's very spectator-friendly, and I believe the runners are going to love it, and especially the scenery. It's just you get to run right next to the ocean, so it's a beautiful place for a cross-country race.
Let's talk a little bit about the course itself. It's on a golf course. What's the terrain like for these runners? They're going to be running along the ocean. Is it mostly in areas that are, as most people think, a golf course is well kept, or will they be in some challenging areas that they have to run?
No, it's actually a very, very well maintained, very well kept golf course. It's a beautiful 9-hole course up there. The grass it's pretty smooth. Very most of the golf courses, at least the race will be flat for the most part. They'll be about, I'd say 95% is flat, and beautiful grass, smooth, short, well-kept grass. There's one hill in the back, about 80 meters long. It's a bit steep, but that's about the only hill they'll have in the race. And again, it's some grass. And there's a back part. They get about an 80 meters the section of the course that it's on dirt, on this little dirt trail, and it's being one part of the golf course to another. But that's it's basically a loop course, and every loop they'll have that one hill, and then the 80 meters of the dirt trail, and the rest of it should be just pretty smooth grass, and should be a fast course as well for our runners.
It's when you lay out a cross country course, especially in a championship sort of, in a championship event, how do you actually go about doing that? I don't think most people realize what it takes to kind of map something out, and how you have to make sure that the runners are very well aware of where they have to go. It's not like running on a track where you stay on the track. Exactly. You've seen over the time people get lost on these races.
Yeah, that has happened in the past, unfortunately, and when you go to races where that's happened, you kind of are aware of that, and I had folks reminding me of several races where runners have been told to go the wrong way. So when I was first, the important part of laying out a course is you have to know, okay, what distances you're working with. You have to stay within the NCAA guidelines. Okay, it's just the women running 5K and 8K conference and 6K and 10K regional. So you have to kind of work with those. And after that, when I located the golf course where we were going to host the race, I was looking at a map of the course, and I sat down with, my assistants and just trying to, and we went and ran it as well. So we had an idea of the course, ran the outer loop, ran the inner loops, and just, I found out, I think it would be best to lay it out this way. So once we figured out how we wanted to lay out the course, then, that's the hard part comes where, how do you make it so the run don't go the wrong way? And so it's the reason I like this course is because it's a loop course for the most part. And so they really stay on the outside, on the perimeter of the golf course. They're really, we're going to make it impossible for runners to get lost. And so, we're just going to have flags on both sides. We're going to have cones on both sides. We're going to have course marshals everywhere. And a critical point, I have some of my best people that I trust just to make sure that you're guiding them the right way. And we also have a lead cart, and so that's at times when races go wrong or somebody gets lost is usually when you don't have a lead cart and you just assume it's well marked. So we're having it well marked, a lead cart, and we're also having a cart in the back trailing the last runner. So just to ensure that we have everything covered, and we'll have course marshals, every 50 meters throughout the course. So it should be well kept, and shouldn't get any runners lost out there.
Yeah, I know you said the men's are the 8,000 and the women's are 5,000 or 6,000 this year.
The women at conference, it's 5,000 meters. At regionals, the women will race 6,000 meters.
All right, and then from the conference, the way the conference works, when there's 2 weeks between the PacWest Championship and the regionals, and then the women will typically run the 6K.
That is correct.
And then now,
that is.
Talk about you said it's a loop course, so obviously they go around several times. What is roughly the distance one time through? Do they have to go through like 4 times, 5 times? How does that work?
The women is 2 loops, and each loop is exact. If you just follow the perimeter, if you go outside the perimeter, it's exactly 2,500 meters. And so the women do have to do 2 loops. They start in the middle of the loop. They start in the inside of the loop, and they'll follow the start. Will kind of take to the outer loop, because we want you need to have a good straightaway for the start. So it'll be inside, and the straightaway will connect them to the loop. But the women, each loop is about 2,500 meters, and so the women really just do 2, and that's the 5K. And so for the men, they're going to do 3 loops. And so obviously because it's only 7,500 meters around, they're going to have an inner loop. When they're on their 3rd loop, we're going to add on a 100-meter loop on the inside of the course. And so that'll be all well laid out too. Marked, it'll be marked in a different color so that they know to follow that color on that loop, and we'll have some obviously marshals in our lead cart telling them where to go for that. I would say that's the critical point, because if anything was going to go wrong, it would happen then. But like I say, we're going to make sure the course is well marked so no one goes the wrong way.
The PacWest Championships obviously are a huge event, and this year we'll have the most teams ever. You got 27 teams there, 14 women, 13 men's programs. But in some ways, it is a bit of a dry run for you guys, because a week later you're going to be hosting the NCAA Division II West Regionals with many of the same PacWest teams, plus teams from the CCAA and the GNAC are going to be there. So what is the difference from hosting the conference compared to hosting the regional? Is the course going to be exactly the same, or do you have to change it up at all?
I'm actually happy that we do have the conference championship and before the regional, because it's a good preview and a good warm up for me as first time head coach to, okay, what can I improve on? And so I do appreciate that. The courses though are going to be different because the women have to have a 6,000 meter course and the men have a 10,000 meter course. But it's going to use the same layout. That outer loop is going to be the same. And the men actually, for the 10,000, it's exactly 4 loops. And the women will have the same 5K, but we're going to add on a 1,000 meter loop on the inside. And so we designed that in mind ahead of time, knowing, okay, because we don't want to have to change too much. And so this made it really easy for us, when we're planning, layout of the courses. We want to have it similar because it's a 1 week apart. And so the paint that we use on, this week should still be there for next week, but we're going to go and repaint just some spots might be needed. But, not much of a difference, just making a couple little changes. Obviously, we're going to have a lot more runners. The entry's basically double for the regional race. You've got more restrictions on the course. You got to have, it's just more pressure in the sense, but because of the conference meet a week earlier, I'll feel a lot more confident that we can pull this off. And it's the first time the West region has ever been given to Hawaii, so that's why the pressure's on. So I'm excited about hosting the race a week early just to prepare ahead of time.
When you're looking at times for the men's and women's races in the PacWest, what do you expect for times?
I think the winning time for the conference championship race will probably be in the mid 25 minutes, 25:30 to high 25, and I believe it's a fast course, but it does get even up there. Wind might could affect some of the runners in running as fast. Obviously the heat also. Some of the mainland schools might not be used to this humidity at this time, so I think that might be a factor. But I would say high 25s should win the conference for the men, and the women's race. I believe our women could probably be low 18s and maybe even have a shot at going under 18 minutes. I know that there's a lot of really good girls that are going to be shooting for the conference title, and they're going to make it very interesting up there. So I would say low 18s for the women, maybe even break 18, and the men as well, break 26, somewhere around there for the championship races.
Is this exciting for you to be able to do all this? I know it's a lot of work, coaching and hosting, but it sounds like you're really you're enjoying it, even though it's a lot of work.
It's
You know what? I think we.
I've always loved it, and obviously
We must have a bad line.
Jorge, can you hear us? Okay, Jorge.
Yeah, I can hear you. It breaks up a little bit at times. But
are you on? We're going to hang up and give you a call right back. See if we get a better connection because we broke up on that last question.
Okay,
Joe's going to hang up. He's going to give you a call right back, and then I'm going to run over. I'm going to run down the cross country predictions again. We'll get Jorge back on the line here in a minute. Men's cross country, in case you're just joining us, predicted order of finish for Saturday's PacWest Championship meet. California Baptist first. 12 first-place votes, 168 points. Azusa Pacific second. Grand Canyon third. BYU Hawaii fourth. Hawaii Pacific fifth. PLNU sixth. Academy of Art seventh. Academy of Art got the other first-place vote. Dixie eighth. Fresno Pacific ninth. Holy Names 10th. Chaminade 11th. Notre Dame Danimer 12th. Dominican 13th. For the women, Azusa Pacific first. 10 first-place votes. California Baptist second. 3 first-place votes. They're separated by 5 points, the two. Hawaii Pacific third, Grand Canyon fourth, PLNU fifth, Dixie State sixth, BYU Hawaii seventh, Academy of Art eighth, Fresno Pacific ninth, Chaminade 10th, Holy Names 11th, Hawaii Hilo 12th, Dominican 13th, and NDNU 14th. And we're going to try to get Jorge back up here. And we have Jorge, you back with us?
I am back on.
Okay, that sounds a lot better. So, I know that you ran. I know we were emailing last night, and you had told me that you actually ran at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, your cross country, and went to school there. And
I'm sorry, you're actually breaking up a little bit on the phone. I can barely hear you.
Are you guys on a cell phone, or are you guys on an office phone?
No, we're an office phone. No. I can hear you now, actually.
Okay. How about? Oh, okay. Let's try it now. I know that you ran for Indiana University of Pennsylvania, is where you did your college running, and I know we were talking about that last night a little bit. When you ran and competed in the Northeast, when you ran the cross country championships, I'm sure the weather's a lot different than running in Hawaii.
Yes, much different. You're up if you're familiar with the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference and all the 14 schools at the time it was 14 schools, all from Pennsylvania. So usually around this time of year it's 40-degree weather, 50-degree weather. The one year the conference was hosted at Edinburgh, we had snow at the conference meet, so completely different weather. At regionals, my senior year, it was at Liberty, and it was 36 degrees for regionals at the start of the race.
Oh my gosh!
And so you got people bundle up and tights and gloves and headbands and ear bands. It's just completely different. So I don't think that we'll ever have to deal with that here in Hawaii.
It's funny you mentioned Edinburgh. For those that don't know, if I throw out the term lake effect snow, it's Edinburgh University is like ground zero, which is probably what you experienced when you raced there.
Exactly. It was, it's a great experience though. It was the first time I actually got to compete in snow. So, and I've always loved the cold weather. I raced a lot better in it. So I do not mind it being 30, 40 degrees at all.
So do you think most runners, when you're running in a championship, would rather race in a 40, 50-degree mark as opposed to, say, a little more humidity and you're in the 90s, 80s, 90s?
So I believe most runners, the ones that I've been in touch with, I think it's more optimal to run in cooler weather. Obviously, the body's not being as hard. To stay cool or keep cool because the air outside is doing it for you. I think ideally the perfect weather would probably be 50s, low 60s, and 40s would be, for me, I would say 40s perfect. But I think 50s is, if you were to do a poll, most cross country runners would say probably in the 50s for these, especially for when you're doing a 10K race or the longer races. You kind of I know personally I never really, if it was a hot day, brutal day, I really struggled. So I loved cross country for that reason.
I think I read you were assistant coach at University of West Alabama. Is that where you came from?
University of West Alabama.
So the humidity down south was probably, for those runners, that probably was a big challenge, especially when you're starting your season in September.
It is brutal. It's tough, especially for myself. I went from Pennsylvania to there and to coach, and then I also recruited a couple girls from Chicago, recruited a girl from Michigan, recruited some girls from North, and so especially for them, it was brutal. But the kids that live in the South, they're kind of used to it, but you don't ever see any team out there training after 6:30 in the morning. I mean, our practices, we met 5:30 in the morning every day, just because if you don't run at that time, you don't run later on, unless, evening time, 8, 9 o'clock at night. It's a challenge for anyone. But I did notice that I personally started to not enjoy the humidity, but at least I adapted to it, and I was able to deal with it better and run on it better. So that was the chance. I had some, like I told you, the runners from Michigan in Chicago, they really struggled for the first couple of weeks, and eventually, after a couple of races, they started to adapt and adjust to the humidity. So it was great for them, but they'd always prefer the colder weather, of course, to race in, and so humidity and heat. Not my best friends, and not a lot of runners' best friends. I'll say that.
The humidity part, I always found it tough with the breathing part. Everything felt like you couldn't get enough air because it was so thick. But on the flip side, when it was humid, it was always a lot easier to get loose than when it was cold.
Oh, that is you're 100% on that. I think it's very well. It's true. It's just really. It's warm. You're out there. You don't have to do much to warm up, and so you're right. And it's really hard though too to race in humidity. It's just I don't know if you ever heard of a lot of people say that running heat and humidity is almost as tough as running at high altitude. It obviously does have an impact on your training, but I think I would much rather put on my winter coat layers and cold weather than want to warm up and when it's heat and humid, hot and humid, and just race in that weather. But yeah, it's completely different animals when you're racing in hot or cold, and it's just. But here in Hawaii, it's just, you're gonna have to. These mainland runners will have to. They'll be ready for some humidity out here.
Well, can rain be a factor, or does the weather look pretty good for the Saturday race?
I looked at the weather actually, and it didn't seem there was any rain scheduled for Saturday. The times I've been up there when it's rained, it's actually only been about a light breeze. That's really about the rain I've seen out there. Just very light and misty kind of rain. So I don't think it'll be a factor at all for this weekend.
Where is the course actually located? Give listeners kind of perspective. HPU is in Honolulu and it's on Oahu, but the course is actually about an hour or 45 minutes away from downtown.
It's about an hour. Yeah, it's about an hour downtown North Shore. If people are familiar with where BYU Hawaii is. In Turtle Bay Resort, it's like right in the middle of both of those, right on the North Shore. It's beautiful. If you're heading from here downtown, you take Kamehameha Highway, northwest from here, or I guess kind of northeast a little bit, and you pass the Polynesian Cultural Center. Right after that is BYU Hawaii, and about 5 minutes from BYU is where the course is located, and it's directly in front of Kahuku High School up there. So it's about, from downtown driving distance, about 35 miles.
35 miles. So
it's not a windy road, so you can't go as fast.
So 8 a.m. the men start. Is that what we said? Remind us again. Who runs first? The men run first at 8 a.m. and then the women run at 9 a.m.
The men run first. Correct. At 8 a.m., women at 9 a.m.
And then we'll have, I know Brent Curry, your sports information director, will get us the information, and we will have the results up on the website not too long after the race, and people will be able to check it out there. Jorge, thanks. We So I think we're losing you, but we appreciate you joining us. Good luck on Saturday with your team and with hosting your first championship, and then also good luck with hosting the NCAA Regional next Saturday. Jorge Medina, the head coach of the Hawaii Pacific University men's and women's cross country teams, and the host institution and the host head coach for the PacWest Championships being held this Saturday at 8 a.m. for the men with the 8K. The women will be running the 5K at 9 a.m. and at the Kahuku Golf Course up there, and it's near BYU Hawaii, but it's being hosted by Hawaii Pacific University, and the championships will be run. It'll be interesting. So for Joe Carreiro, I'm Tom DiCamillo. Next week, PacWest Women's Basketball Media Day on November 1st, right here at noon Arizona time, Pacific Daylight Time, and then the week after that, the times change. So we will be at a different time than the West Coast. For Joe Carreiro, I'm Tom DiCamillo. We'll catch you next week on PacWest Radio.
Hi, this is Daniel, your host for Rock and Roll 101, every other Sunday at 5 on KQCK.